Hello, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I share homeschool content, and today I'm going to show you what I have in my teacher binder that is being prepped for our upcoming 5th grade homeschool year. So when I first open it up, I have my daughter's weekly checklist that I still need to laminate in this little side pocket. I have this back to school family meeting agenda. And so every year we like to go to dinner the Sunday before school starts. And we go over the agenda where we're establishing like our expectations for the year, basically. And so we go over this. It goes over, attitude and habits, what the first week will look like, goals we have for the year. And then I share her daily rhythms with her, which you're going to see right here too, but this is my version, and then her version is a theme that she'll appreciate. Then I have, I don't know if the camera's picking this up well, but it's this stencil for lines. So like when we have like plain blank paper, we can put like writing lines on it, and it has a little ruler on the side. And then this is just a like paper cover type situation. I use it for Post-its that I reuse over and over until they lose their sticky, because I like to like reuse everything. Okay, so then the first page is our daily rhythms. And so I have it organized so that these light green areas are our morning warm-up. And that's when she's doing her chores, her checklist, doing her calendar work, word of the day, handwriting. We'll do pop quizzes on these during this time block in our daytime. And then towards the end of the week, it's more fun stuff. So she does 1 page minimum out of our morning books, which are like seasonal activity type books. And then on Friday, she gets to do 30 minutes of an educational game. Usually it's going to be Prodigy or Night Zookeeper. So then after the daily warm-up is our daily subjects. And that's what's in the black font. Next is a year at a glance calendar that matches up with our charter schools calendar. So it has like testing and vacations on here. And then in this little pocket, I have the disc for all the student handouts for the word programs we're going to be doing this year, and the audio files for our Speedy Spanish program. Then this binder is where I house like things that will be related to her warm-up. And so this is where I'll have some pop quiz information, and that can be anything that's either subject related that we've been covering, or just things like making sure she knows our phone numbers or her address, and making sure she can write her birthday like in different ways. I like to know that she can do date form in different formats. And our first subject section is going to be ELA. So I don't have anything in the pocket right here. This is where I house all of our Yoto cards. And so these are the Yoto cards that we have right now. Most of them are planned out for this year already, or this coming year, 5th grade. And then I also have some that are not, I don't have the cards for. So the reason I have Wind of the Willows twice, if you caught that, is because one is bridged and one is unabridged. And so one didn't match our Field of Far lessons. And so I figured that out after getting it. And so then I had to find one that did match the book that came with the lessons. And then these are the stickers that I would put on the Yodel cards once we have them. And these are all cards or books that we have in our wish list that we want to do this year, but we just haven't gotten them yet. I have a subscription with Libro FM, I think is what it's called. And it's like Audible kind of, except where you can actually put the file, you can download the file and therefore put it on a Yodel card, where with Audible you can't download anything. And so the price is the same, if I remember correctly. It's like extremely comparable, if not the same. The main difference being that you can download the file, and then also it's like supporting like local bookstores and stuff like that. And so we're really liking this program, and so that's why I have some of these in here without cards. It also reminds me of the ones that we want to get or need to get for the upcoming school year also, so it's kind of a visual cue, if you will. These are materials that we're going to need for our literature for moving beyond the page. So I have this tagged literature, and anything for literature would be behind this tab. And then reading, I don't have anything behind here. Spelling, I don't have anything behind here. Writing, I have a couple of like reproducible type templates that we could use. And then some CASP information on the different types of writing that would be covered in the CASP testing. And then for grammar, this is all outdated. I actually created, these are like parts of speech and stuff like that, and I created these when we first started homeschooling 5 years ago. So I actually want to go through this and see if it's still like applicable to us in the style that we teach and like the vernacular that we use and stuff like that. And so I still need to go through this and see if it's holds true to us, but I've just kept it in here because I just haven't taken the time to do that. All right, next is art. And here I have a QR code for A Legend of Sleepy Hollow play that we'll be covering in the spooky season of arts. And then a couple of Shakespeare things for Macbeth. And then just another Shakespeare page that came from a Gather Round unit that I have. So in science is where I keep my master anatomy posters mega pack list. And so just having this here helps me remember all the anatomy posters I have from For the Love of Homeschooling. And so I can just easily glance at this and see if it correlates with anything that we're teaching. And then I have a bunch of Moving Beyond the Page pieces for our anatomy, human anatomy this year. These are all that. And then I have a chart that has all the science kits that we own. And so I created a chart showing where each kit would fit into what we're studying for the year. So it just makes it easier for me to know when to use them, so they just don't get forgotten about. All right, and then we're going to social studies, and we have our beautiful fee book list. And then I started like noting down what each chapter of the Tuttle Twins that we're going to be going over covers, because it's really hard to tell the way they have it like in the table of contents just by the name of the chapters, like what it actually covers, which makes it really hard for me to build upon and beef it up. And so I started kind of going through and getting down the more specifics of the areas that it covers in each chapter. Then once I had that information, I could go ahead and take and start creating our book list for the year. And so I take the books that we have and going off of, you know, knowing the order in which we're going to cover this, which is chronological. So, I mean, you can piece it together. But then I take the rest of our books and make a list. And so I highlighted it blue if it's coming from Chronos. I highlighted it yellow if it's coming from Beautiful Feet. And then I have a weird like small, medium, large code next to each title of the book, because when I organize my books like on a bookshelf, like I have to do it by size. I don't know why, but it does make it really difficult to find a book when I need a book, because it's not like alphabetized or anything like that. And so this just helps me, like I can see if it's a large book, then it really narrows down my search. I also do put stickers on my book, so there's like a color sticker that will be if it's for Chronos, and then a different color for Beautiful Feet. So with those two indicators, it's usually easier for me to track down the books that I need. And then I have the books for spooky season, and then that's where I stopped kind of mapping this out. And then as I get more time, I'll go in and start mapping the rest out, and I'll pick up on the Revolutionary War, and then, you know, going forward from there. Also with the Tuttle Twins, I went and I time checked all the chapters so I could figure out how long we were going to be listening to the chapters each day, because they vary. It's roughly between 35 to 40 minutes is average, but it does slightly vary. So after I figured all that out, then I can figure out and do the math on how long do we need to listen to the book each day that we do history. Okay, and so back here I just have additional history resources that line up with the time periods that we'll be covering. Some are from Moving Beyond the Page, some are from The Clever Teacher, some are from education.com. Just different resources that fit into the time period and topics that we'll be covering. Then we have Beautiful Feet's picture packet. Then we go into science. No, this isn't science. This is geography. So for geography this year, we're going to be covering the 50 states. This is science, but I kept this from last year. If you've watched any of my videos, you know that we started with Studies Weekly, and it didn't work for our family. However, I still adore the way that they present their lessons, and so some of them I held on to, and this is one of the ones I held on to because I really liked this intro to cartographers, Here Be Dragons. And so we're doing the 50 states, but we're starting our lessons with like general mapping stuff, and so I thought this would be a great read to just kick off our geography this year, and then so that's why I kept that. And then these are just like a couple things that could be used for quizzes as we go through the year. And then we get into our actual geography lessons that I wrote out, like starting with World Geography Basics, North America Overview, and then we would be getting into the state studies. And then just a couple of resources to use through the year. These are like the teacher behind the scenes resources for what she'll have in her binder. And then just like a section that if we finish covering and we have extra time to start going over this is a unit from For the Love of Homeschooling, specifically on North America. Same with this. And then these are just extra resources, different maps. I liked to collect maps that we could find helpful along the way. Then I have a folder or envelope filled with different field trip resources. That wraps up all of our subject sections. And then at the back, I have this, just like, this will be miscellaneous reproducibles. Right now I just have like this Venn diagram in here. And then just some extra envelopes in case I need them. And then the materials and notes from the homeschool planning retreat. And that's currently everything that I have inside my teacher binder for our 5th grade homeschool year. It definitely changes and grows throughout the year, but this is what I'm starting with, and everything together in one place makes planning and teaching a little bit easier for me on a day-to-day. If you've made it this far, thanks for watching, and until next time, bye.